You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Migaki, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Johannes Ekström of Avatar. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
This episode of the Tone Mob Podcast is brought to you by the fine folks over at Stringjoy. Yet again, that's right, they are sponsoring this episode because they rock, and their strings rock, and that's pretty much all I play these days. So, if you want a custom set of strings that is specific to your guitar, your playing style, your tuning, hit up Stringjoy. They will get you dialed in with exactly the gauges that you need, and you'll rock harder than ever before. And isn't that what we're all about? Rocking? Don't we rock? That's what we do here at Tone Mob? Yes, we do, of course. So hit up Stringjoy, go to stringjoy.com, get yourself a hand-wound set of strings made here in the U.S., and treat yourself. You deserve it. Your tone deserves it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to, if this is your first time around, to the Tone Mob Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today I have, again, Mr. Andrew Jackson, of now formerly Stohn Picks, now Stohn Guitars. How are you doing, sir?
And I would like to say, if this is your first time visiting the Tone Mob Podcast, go back and listen to the past episodes, not only with me, but all the other great people who've been on it. It's an honor to be a second time participant of the show, and I am an avid listener of all of the podcasts, so they're really great, informative tools, man. Hey, Blake, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you.
Not to call you an informative tool or anything.
Well, it's better than an uninformative tool.
We have a couple of those running for president. So.
Oh, geez. Let's not go there.
Ouch.
You're not kidding.
1 minute in and he's already going political. Jeez.
Well, yeah. I have a lot to say and none of it's good. So, about either party. So there we go. I'm a complete anarchist. No, yeah, let's not go there.
1 minute, 34 seconds, and the wheels have fallen off. Ladies and gentlemen, new world record for the Tone Mob Podcast.
It might be. It might be the fastest the wheels have ever spun out of control. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm sure somebody can find an episode where, like, first thing, like 10 seconds in, it's just gone. I'm sure that has happened before.
If I ever do a third show, I'm just going to go straight up Stephen Wright and be as weird as I can in like second 32. You're just like, man, we got 50 more minutes left. How am I going to do this?
So now here's a question I haven't actually asked anyone that's been on the show before, but since I know you've listened to the majority of them, do you have a particular favorite episode? I know I have some favorites, but do you have any favorites?
I do, and I actually think our favorite may be the same. Michael Adams, Pusheen on Instagram. Mm-hmm. His when he starts going into like video games and Star Wars, that one to me, like I laughed the loudest. And how I usually listen to the Tone Mob, so I have a 45-minute drive from my house to my day job. Mm-hmm. Perfect set of time to listen to the Tone Mob Podcast. They usually run between that and 50 minutes. So Atlanta traffic is terrible. So I turned it on right when I left home, and right when I got to work was about when it ended. And I got to tell you, that was one of the most enjoyable drives through downtown Atlanta that I have ever had.
Yeah, that guy, every time he comes on, it's like, this is going to be, I don't even care what we talk about. It's going to be good.
We don't even have to talk about gear, man. Just what's going on, dude. Just start riffing, dude. Just,
Oh, yeah. If I wasn't already doing like 2 podcasts, then I told him, actually, this is funny that we're talking about Mike, because the episode that'll be coming out just before this one is actually him interviewing me. And it goes we went so long. I think it's like a 90-minute episode or something. It's ridiculous.
And I'll have to say, too, my second favorite would have to go to Ryan from Yellow Cake.
Yeah.
Hearing him go into his like personality, like he'll do Christopher Walken and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I had the pleasure of meeting with him in Atlanta, and he out Christopher Walken to me. I was kind of mad about that.
It's funny now that I think about it that you mentioned those two as being some of your favorites, because those are both two of the rare breed that is the repeat customer or repeat guest rather. So you're in amongst them now.
So just separate from their Instagram accounts, who they post really good, high quality content, they're also high quality people. I mean, both of them are just salt of the earth people. So to me, like, it's a no brainer. Those two, like, they made the show funny, and they're just good people. So it kind of goes without saying, really. Whereas me, I'm kind of a jerk. So like, if the show's funny, it's like 50-50. You know?
Yeah, you're so mean to me. I can't believe I had you back on. You make me cry a little bit.
The constant browbeating.
But yeah, so let's talk about, you've had part of the reason I wanted to get you back on here was not just to ramble. I mean, we're going to do that too, of course, but.
Oh, sure.
You've had a lot of changes in your company over the last, year or so? No, it's not been that long since.
It's been just over a year since I started.
Okay. So yeah, in the last 6 months then, you've had some dramatic changes in kind of like some comings and goings of products and new things, and then you rebranded. And why don't you kind of like fill everyone? So if this is your first time listening to Andrew, definitely go back and listen to his first episode where it would be Andrew Jackson with Stohn Picks. And that'll inform you on the story up to that point. And then after the Stohn Picks was changed to Stohn Guitars, why don't you kind of like rap about that for a little bit and how that process worked and what the mindset was?
So has the quality of the Stohn Picks continued? I had other people asking me, well, dude, hey, can you make picks out of bone or horn or wood or acrylic? And I thought to myself, hey, why don't I do that? And I lost sight of the true vision of what I was doing and what I was doing well, which was making Stohn guitar picks. So essentially what I did was I tried to water down my own brand by doing acrylic picks, buffalo horn, carbon fiber, guitar straps, I really went overboard, and it took a very dear friend of mine who saw what I was doing to myself, and he kind of gave me a verbal slap to the face. He was like, dude, what are you doing? You make Stohn guitar picks. What's up with it? Like 10,000 people make acrylic guitar picks. 10,000 people make wood guitar picks. Like, stop it. Just do the Stohn and what you do. And so that's when I kind of had that moment of clarity, and I went back and I was like, okay, I got to get rid of all this. Go right back to the Stohn and then do that well.
Yeah, and I actually had that conversation unbeknownst to you and was preparing to have that conversation with you when I saw you were already discontinuing the rest of the stuff. I was like, oh, he's read my mind.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, you don't really know it until it's already too late. Once I looked back at my website, which is, of course, stoneguitars.com, and I was seeing all these things that aren't Stohn. Now, the guitars also aren't Stohn too, but it's the name brand. I was seeing guitar straps, slides. I was trying to do too much from what the true vision of what I want to do is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and probably what you were best known and basically did the best, also, I would assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean.
And so we're currently in the middle of a 2-week all-night bender. We're getting ready to release a new set of picks. Hopefully they'll be out in about 2 weeks. So what I do is I work my day job. I come home and I rest for about a half hour. Then I go to the warehouse and work for another 6 hours. Grinding away, making Stohn picks, come home and sleep for about 3 hours and do that all over again. So I'm 4 days into a 2-week bender doing that.
Now that's an interesting thing too that I did not know. last time when you were on the show, you had a guy doing your picks, but you have started doing it yourself.
Okay. So there are three of us. I am the face, and I am the main guy who you speak to. So how we do it is this. We will get slabs of stone. I send them off to my guy who planes them into sheets. And so me and another guy will sit there with the sheets of stone and shape them and form them into the picks. So I don't take the rough stone and do all the work. I do basically the stone making. I don't do the
right. The actual, the final steps in the process, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's even changed. So you've had a lot of changes. That was different than when you did the run of picks for me, even. So that's quite fascinating. I didn't know you had switched into that role.
And it cuts down on time it really makes it faster, I would say, by about 40%. So it's easier to do it this way. And it's a shame it took 9 months to figure that out.
Right. But that's cool. And, the picks are still great. I have all of them pretty much and, use them pretty much every day. As I've told other people, they're my go-tos. That's what I use. And you've actually, something I did not expect. I've actually started using the J3. I probably never would have ordered a J3. I've used that style of pick before and was like, nah, this is too small. It's not for me. But you sent me a couple of them along with the normal ones that I usually use. And I've become I'm starting to become a convert over to the J3. Now
the J3, for those listening, it's my take on the Jazz 3. It's not a true Jazz 3 in the fact that it doesn't have that very sharp defined point. The only reason that we don't do that is because with our method of shaping stone, it's almost impossible to get that Jazz 3 point without chipping the stone. So really the J3 is nothing more than a smaller, stubby standard pick. So I would say that works best if you really want to choke up on the pick and get some, be closer to the strings and have the feel to it. But yeah, no, now that I know that, with this next batch, I'll send you a couple of the J3s as well.
Yeah, and unbeknownst to me, when I started looking at it, that's kind of how I play, even with a standard pick, is fairly choked up on the string, or on the pick rather. And so the J3, I was like, well, let me give one of these a try. And I kind of purposely put away in my little box of picks I put all my regular ones away and just left the J3s kind of sitting on the amps, One thing that Michael Adams and I both do, which is the same, is he uses the broad side of the pick. And the whole time I've been playing guitar, that's kind of how I always grip the pick. So that's kind of cool that we both share that same pick grip. That is interesting.
We use the flat side rather than the pointed side.
I use the flat side for weird effects. I mainly use the point, but I'll flip it around and kind of almost. It doesn't sound like this, but the motion is kind of like a bow on a string. Like a violin, how it goes from, horizontally across the strings, or perpendicular rather. I kind of do the same thing with a pick with a lot of fuzz and delay. And it doesn't sound like a bow. It sounds like something else. I don't know what it sounds like, but it's that same kind of sliding across the string motion with with a pick. And obviously there's not as much surface area, so it's really slow, but that's something I experiment with sometimes. And I'm finding myself get weirder with how I'm actually picking and using a combination of picking and fingers these days, which I don't know why I haven't experimented with this in the past, but anyway, I'm getting weird with my picking style, I guess.
I've seen people use the fingers with the pick. I can't do that to save my life. But then again, however, it doesn't work so well with punk. You just have to bang on the strings. So.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not doing the really cool Chet Atkins thing or anything like that. This is super basic. It's easy as it gets.
Is it pumpkin spice basic, or is it no?
Almost.
I'm going to leave that joke alone. Never mind. Jeez, I'm going to abandon that line of logic.
I know where you're going with this. Ugg boots. Michael Kors bag.
Yes. Is it Ugg boot basic or is it pumpkin spice latte basic? Like, how basic are we talking?
Super basic. Super basic.
Awesome.
Yep. So let's talk about your guitars a little bit. We've talked about the picks. That was is and was what you were really known for. But you also have guitars out, and I know that today was a big day in the Stohn guitar drop, because you got them all, right?
Well, 2 more are coming to me. So I have now in my possession 6 of them. The other 2 will be delivered on Saturday. And they're coming from Antigua, Wisconsin. I found a very good, after a long and arduous search, I finally found a great builder to build my vision. Zane Guitars in Antigua, Wisconsin. You guys can check them out. They build for people like Carrie Underwood, for Keith Urban, for a lot of the people in the Christian music scene, and their guitars are legit. So the Stohn EAV is, first off, it's an acronym for the neighborhood that I live in. It's the East Atlanta Village. I named it after my neighborhood. It is a hodgepodge or a mashup of the Jazzmaster and the SG. So what I wanted to do is and what I want to do with future models is take 2 very well-known guitars that pair well together or may pair well together and merge them. So the EAV, it's an alder body with nitro finish. Basically, it's a Jazzmaster with that SG horn. Has a 12-inch radius, modern C neck, 25.5-inch scale. But some of the great add-ons to it are Benson pickups from Benson Pickups in Lockport, New York. And the sound you hear is the Gabriel Tenorio strings that come with it.
Very nice.
So what I wanted to do was a kind of a collective of guitar builders. I wanted to showcase a lot of really great small businesses that are great at what they do and to kind of do a collaborative effort to make a guitar. And to this day, I don't know too many guitar builders that do it like that. They all do everything themselves or for the most part do it themselves. Right.
Yeah, there's not many. It seems to be a little more common in the effects world. Of people kind of doing things together. In fact, I was reading in Gearphoria, which is a great online gear magazine. If anybody's reading that, or not reading that, rather, check that out. It's really cool. And also ran by a Blake. So, I mean, you know it's going to be good.
With a name like Blake, you know it's going to be good.
That's right. Blake Wright. He's the guy and the head honcho over there. Anyway, Ryan Ratajski from Fuzz Rocious actually just wrote a big article for them about collaboration in the pedal industry. And it's really cool because it really hit home with me because I've got several projects in the works and people have seen the Model 1. I don't know how to build anything. I just have a lot of crazy ideas. And so I try to find the people who can make those things into realities. So the collaborative aspect that you're doing really hits home with me because that's the only way I can kind of create anything is by having other people's help.
And to speak on the Model 1, I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but from an aesthetic standpoint, you hit the nail on the head. Not only does that pedal look expensive, but it as I was saying earlier, I mean, it kind of looks like you're putting a tuxedo on your pedal board. It just looks like you should have one. Right. That Model 1, like, until I get to play it and hear it for sure, but I know it sounds as great as it looks. That pedal, you nailed the look of that pedal.
Well, thank you. And there again, collaboration. I had a graphics guy. His name's Nick. He helped me out with that because I was beating my head against the wall. I had a design that's okay. But I was like, it's not there. And I didn't want to release anything that was just okay. I wanted it to be something I was really proud of. So, I got with another guy. His name's Nick, and he runs a graphics company called Equal 7 Creative. Is that right? Yeah, Equal 7 Creative here in Portland. And he's done work for, some other builders and did bang up jobs. And I was like, oh, I bet he can do a bang up job for me. So he took my basic concept and like gave it that extra that it needed. And we went back and forth with a few different things, but once he nailed it, it was like, nope, that's it. That's what we're doing. That is the jam. So,
I think the black and white version of the Model 1 looks just like the Danelectro 59, in that it's very stripped down, it's very basic, but you don't have to do a lot to make it look good. Mm-hmm. So I would say if you had the Model 1 with the Danelectro 59, the black and white, mm-hmm. that'd be a sexy combination. That would just be like, that would just be disgusting. That would be awesome.
So which version, I find this curious. Which version did you prefer, the black and white or the black and gold?
So to me, I like both, but I think my eye naturally went to the black and white one.
And, yeah. That was my take too, but, I mean, they're all gone right now, but the
kudos to you.
Well, kudos to everyone that bought one. I mean, you guys are awesome. But I liked the black and white just a little bit better. But the mm-hmm. black and gold actually was the one that was gone first and went out a little bit faster. And then, that's the one I keep getting emails about, like, hey, do you have any more black and golds? I'm like, no, I don't have any more of either of them. But like, that's the one that
should have jumped on them when they were around.
Yeah. I mean, I do plan on releasing some more, down the road. But I don't know that I mean, if everyone keeps harassing me about it, I would probably do some more black and golds. But I kind of wanted to do, each edition be its own look. If we're going to have a run let's make it special and make it extra cool. So let's have it look its own, have a look all its own instead of redoing the prior runs. I mean, I'm not totally against the idea. That was never the original concept.
If I could make a suggestion, I would definitely suggest against not doing any more black and golds, because let's say the next run you do is brown and white or green and white. Mm-hmm. It makes each line exclusive to itself.
Right.
So the people who get in on the black and gold, they're like, man, I got a diamond in the rough. Like, I got one of the first. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Kind of to add to what, I do with Stohn, I will only ever do 10 guitars of any body shape. And then that body shape is retired. I'm not doing any more of the EAVs. Once these go, I'll be moving on to the next guitar. So doing a small run of anything really adds to the exclusivity of it.
That's true. And it does. I have pedals like that. Like, I have a couple, mm-hmm. like, Spaceman pedals that, like, he's never going to do that again. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, to know that, like, makes you feel like a special little unicorn or something. Like, I got it,
And the first person who got the black and gold number 1, do you number yours on the inside?
I do,
you
yes.
Write like little, whoever got number 1, watch out for that bad boy on eBay.
I don't know who, I could pull up the list and look, but I have the names of all the original owners, who they got shipped to. So I'll have to look and see. And if I see you flipping that thing, I'm going to be heartbroken. No. It's yours. You can do whatever you want with it.
Sure.
I do know of one that got flipped on Reverb. I don't know if it got flipped as in he made a profit, but I know he had it posted up for the original asking price. I'm just really curious if he got it or not.
I'm pretty sure somebody scooped that one up.
It definitely sold. I'm just curious what it sold for.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because he had it posted at the new price, basically, like what they were new. I'm curious if he got full price. I just want to know. I want to know what the market will bear on Tone Mob goods.
So I want to give a special shout out, if I could, to a man named Justin Setters. He's also up there in Washington, kind of the Pacific Northwest area mm-hmm. where you are. He actually got Stohn EAV number 1.
Got number 1? Wow.
He got the first guitar off the line.
So, yeah.
So I'd like to thank him and really thank him for taking a chance and believing in me. But, also he has the first one that'll ever be made.
Right. The first and only number 1 EAV ever to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's pretty cool.
That is it.
So for future runs of guitars, like you're planning on basically combining two classics together, like every time. Are you planning on playing with, like scale lengths and things, or I know you like that Fender scale. I'm just curious if you're going to try the Gibson one or something in between, or go crazy and go baritone,
I think
or
the
what?
Next one, I don't know if we're going to do a baritone. I know definitely for the next one, probably not. I know the 24 3/4 scale is something that we're looking at. Matter of fact, that may actually be the next one, is a 24 3/4. But then that wouldn't lend itself to the two bodies we're doing. I don't know. But yeah, no, I definitely have the Les Paul scale length in mind. But it may just fluctuate between the two, or we may try to find an odd scale length that is known, but not a lot of people do it. Mm-hmm. But for baritone, I just don't know that many people who would jump on a baritone guitar. I think that's a little bit too niche, if you will.
Right. It could be. I asked for selfish reasons because I've been thinking more and more that I want a baritone. I technically have a baritone. I have my Roni Paramore is a baritone 7-string, technically. But I have it tuned to where it's standard with a drop B. I just want a straight baritone 6-string to try out. I've gotten really used to this tuning, and I don't know if I want to drop it down even further. I could easily. It'll tolerate it, and I have heavy enough strings. But, yeah, I don't know. I've really been wanting a baritone 6-string lately. So.
Roni makes some sexy guitars, man. I don't drop that word lightly. He makes some dead sexy guitars. I've been following him on Instagram and checking out what he does. He does some really good work.
They play really nice too. His fretwork.
I bet they do.
Oh man. Paul's been on the show. Hey, speaking of twofers, Paul's the only other twofer, I think. He's been on twice too. Oh. I have a Paramore and I have a Oceana, and they're fantastic. The Oceana is so beautiful.
I think the Oceana is the one you post the most, I believe.
Yeah,
I've seen the Ocean. Yeah, I think the Oceana I've seen that most.
Yeah, it's that Lake Placid blue.
Oh yeah,
with the gold everything. I'm gonna go home and play it. I also got an amp. I got an amp today that I got to play this morning. It is. We're just coming here to talk about everyone else's cool gear.
Sure, why not? We've already talked about my stuff. Skip it.
It's a company out of Nashville called Third Power Amps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, this thing is something else. So I'm more of a American amp guy for the most part, as far as my like clean tone preferences and how I structure like my rigs are usually centered around a Fender-ish sort of tone. This is actually AC voiced. It is like the best. It's like I used to think AC is not really for me. I guess I was wrong, because this thing sounds absolutely incredible. It's got the prettiest clean tone. I only got to play with it for just a little bit this morning. I ran to the post office, picked it up, ran back home. Like, okay, I'm going to plug it in for just like a couple minutes to make sure it works and play it after work. And it was like 30 minutes later, like, oh boy, I gotta go.
So I sponsor a band out of Nashville called the Van Leers, and Trey Bentley is the guitarist and one of the singers for the Van Leers. And he has played a Stohn EAV through his Third Power amp. And those Third Power amps, they're just so warm and so like, they're beautiful. I love them.
Yeah, Jamie does some really, really nice work. It's something else, and it's so light. It's like a 30-pound like combo, and it's just like grab it, go. Like it's so light. I don't know if that's what it actually weighs, but it's super light. I highly suggest. Let me make a Third Power commercial here real quick. I highly suggest people check out some of the videos they have on mostly on Facebook. I think they have some on YouTube, but The clips will probably sell you, even just the iPhone clips. So there you go.
And I've heard them in person, and they are definitely what they advertise. They are legitimate, awesome amps. Yeah.
So I already know, because we talked about this earlier, that you can't really tease too much about what you're thinking for the next Stohn model. But man, I'm so curious. Like, can we get any hints at all on that? Or are you playing this one super close to the vest?
I'll play it close to the vest, but what I can tell you is I grew up, and I still am to this day, a Johnny Ramone fan. So we're going to do a mashup with Johnny Ramone's Maserite. Now, I know brands like Eastwood have exclusive rights to the Maserite, so it won't be true full-on Maserite, but we're going to take another guitar that looks kind of similar to that and make it our own.
I think you're speaking my language there.
We're not going to do the zero fret. We're not going to do that. But everything else that will be has punk, but keep it Stohn exclusive as we can.
That sounds like right up my alley. I like the sound of that a lot. Sounds cool. Yeah. We didn't get too into the pickup, or not the pickup, excuse me, the guitars. I know what the specs are, but for the listeners, like, what's the EAV, and are there some Stohn standard features that you kind of want to, like, the guitars are always going to have?
So the guitars are always going to have the Benson pickups. I've kind of formed a very good relationship with John Benson. I have 2 guitars with his pickups in them that are just mine. And a good friend of mine, Will Kennemore, who lives up in North Georgia, he turned me on to them. So I heard his Telecaster with the Benson pickups in it, and it just sounded amazing. So I was like, dude, what kind of pickups do you have in there? It doesn't sound like a Telecaster. It does, but it doesn't. And he goes, yeah, man, I found these guys on Instagram. It's Benson. So I met him, and, we talked. And so I'm going to be almost 100% exclusive with Benson pickups in the Stohn model guitars. Gabriel Tenorio is another guy that I really believe in what he does, not only as a company, but as a person. So each guitar will have a custom set of Gabriel Tenorio strings to it. I always want to go with alder body, and I want to do the nitro finish on them because I like the look of Relic, and the thin 1.5 coat of nitro, it will Relic with the player. So it won't, Relic in a week, but, in about 1.5, 2 years, 3 years, you can start seeing that wear.
Yeah. There's a lot of, we've talked about this before, just the two of us, but like, there's a lot of hubbub around, poly versus nitro and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of a horse that's been beaten to death 400 times. But I don't have the only reason I prefer nitro on a guitar is the reason that it is because it actually wears. So the reason I like it is because it's actually kind of an inferior finish.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the way old guitars just came. I think poly came around within the past 25, maybe.
I don't know. I think they started doing some poly in the set. I don't even know. Well, actually, some of the rumor is that and maybe this is fact, I might be speaking out of turn here, that the early Fenders were actually nitro on the outside, but they were dipped in poly before the nitro went on some models. I should talk to a vintage guy. I should talk to Michael and ask him that question. He'd probably be able to tell me.
Michael could clear that up pretty quickly. Yeah. No, so nitro to me, like you said, I don't think necessarily it's an inferior finish, but I think it lends itself to showing the character of the guitar and the player better. For sure.
Yeah, that was probably poor choice of words, but you wouldn't want to put it on a car.
No, you wouldn't. No. And I even get a little hesitant with putting it on a guitar stand, putting the guitar, I'll put a t-shirt over where the guitar rests. Right. Just so it, because, I know some of those rubber guitar stands that actually eats the nitro. So anytime I take a picture of one, I put an old t-shirt underneath it so it won't make contact.
I'm kind of concerned about that too. And it really, it changes based on what stands you're using. I have some, most of my guitars are hanging in like Hercules stands and things, and they seem to be fine. But my dad has a SJ200 that's nitro, obviously, and it has very visible where his he now has a rag in there that he keeps for this reason, but like for a while he didn't. He was just hanging it on the wall, and it discolored around the neck, or around by the nut on the back of the neck. You can totally tell. It didn't ruin it, but it's like, that's kind of brown now. Like, glad it didn't melt the finish.
And it kind of gives it a little bit of character, you know, it tells the story of the guitar. So, I mean, to that end, it's not a battle scar, but it's kind of its own unique signature.
Oh, so. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than a well-checked vintage guitar.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool. Or any instrument, really. I have an old piano that, as near as I can tell, is built around the late teens, early 20s. It's been in my family for a long time. And, like, I had a lady come out and tune it and kind of spruce it up just a little bit because it was kind of falling out of tune. And she was like, oh, let me get you a quote to replace some of the ivories on here. And I was like, no.
No, that would totally defeat keep it all correct.
Mm-hmm. Like some of them are chipped and kind of missing, but not so bad that it's like gonna hurt you to play it. It's just like not as new and pretty. I was like, no, we're not gonna change the keys on that. Like, no, stop talking nonsense. Look at this thing. That's a
100-year-old piano, lady. What are you talking about? Yeah. No, it's gonna stay the way it is.
Right. And it was nitro, obviously. So the whole thing is completely checked. Like it's like, this is great. Funny thing about that piano, I don't remember if we've talked about this before or if I've talked about it on the podcast or not. I probably did at some point. But my band's album cover, the way we got that, I think you've seen it. It's the two guys fighting.
It's the boxing ring.
Yeah. So the way we got that was, I got my friends to help me move it, much to their disappointment, and it was a nightmare. It was a bad situation. But they apparently are the best people in the world because they agreed to it. And we were trying to get that thing into a place where it simply was not going to go. We were trying to get it around this corner, and we were turning it on its side and like all kinds of stuff, and it's super heavy. In amongst the struggles, after we aborted that mission, a guy found what he thought was a wood chip on the ground. And so he picked it up and just set it on the table. And when we got all done trying to wrangle that monster, I was like, what is that? And I picked it up off the table, and it was what I thought was a negative, but it's not a negative. It was actually an old film slide. And that is what was on the slide. It fell.
Oh, that's a cool.
Yeah, it fell out of the piano. Like, how did that get in there? I don't know. How long has it been in there? Probably since the piano was built.
Sure.
It's just it was an old film slide, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to use for the album cover, and I had an aha moment, and that was where that came from.
Oh, sure. If it's been in there, that is the album right there. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't use that piano on anything, but it was just kind of a cool, I'm just going to put that on. That's it. That's what we're going to do. Anyway, that was a random side story.
Put the piano up to a fuzz pedal and let it rip, man.
Ooh.
That would just be the weirdest sound ever. A 100-year-old piano hooked up to a big muff. There you go.
I think we can make that happen. We'll just mic it up and then run it through there and see what it sounds like. Why not? Now you got me curious. This is going to get dangerous.
That's what I'm an idea man. That's what I do.
You and I both. One thing we didn't talk about that you did, to bring it back to you, who is the guest on the show, instead of me talking about myself, you did some pedals also. We kind of glazed over that fact. What were they?
So the first pedal that I did was an idea that me and Cody from Westminster Effects had. It was called The Fuzz of the Dead. And that was my first foray into pedals. That was kind of the beginning of, hey man, you're doing too much. And I may still do pedals in the future, but it's not high on the idea list. Mm-hmm. So Cody did my pedals for me. He did 10 of them, and they turned out really well. It was a very glitchy fuzz, not an 8-bit pedal, but it was kind of 8-bit / fuzz. So it had an element of that in it. And very good pedal. I loved it to death. That one went really fast. Like within 2 weeks, I was sold out. And I was like, hey man, I got something going here. So a couple of months down the line, me and Eric Stewart, of the Orphan Brigade, who also does Full Nelson Electronics, he did my Seesaw pedal, which by the name you can tell it was a clone, not a clone, but I used the building prototype of the Roland Bebop.
Oh, that's right.
I built upon that. Yeah. So that was a Roland Bebop build on, and that one it did well, but it took some time. So that one finally did well. Pedals for Stohn guitars, I don't think it's going to be a very common thing. I know guitars and guitar picks are always going to be the two things that I do.
Right.
Yeah. The next pedal I do, if I ever do another one, which I hope I will, is probably going to be like some form of a distortion pedal, which I know there's 2 million of them out there. So why not put one more?
Yeah. What's one more at this point?
I'm thinking, what's one more? Yeah. 2001. I'm probably going to do some form of modified distortion pedal next.
So I know you like to play with a lot of dirt, as I do.
Yeah.
So what, do you have any theories about where you would want to slant it sound-wise? I mean, would you think kind of a Rat thing, or like go crazy with like an HM2 type of thing, or where would you be trying to slot, you think?
So my musical stylings kind of pair in the mid-90s. Dinosaur Jr., Nirvana, Soundgarden, and I would probably guesstimate and say, I haven't really put much thought into it, I would probably take the Rat and do like adding some diodes to it or adding some stuff to it or whatever we can do, not to just put my name on a Rat pedal.
Right.
But I'd probably use the Rat as a platform.
Yeah, that is heavy roots in that music is the Rat. Well, the Rat's really all over this place at this point, but a lot of that was Rat based. And I have several Rat-based distortions, and I like them all. But it's kind of clicking in my brain. It's kind of weird. I don't own an actual Rat, which seems like an atrocity. I don't understand that. Of course, I don't own a Tube Screamer.
One of my first pedals in '95 was a Rat, and I really liked it. And I think I've lost it like in one of the 10,000 moves that I've had over the time. But yeah, I remember that Rat very fondly. That was the first proper distortion that I had.
Nice. Might be time for us to reacquire a Rat, I think.
I know, man. I know. Jeez. Once we get off, I'm probably going on Reverb and eBay and seeing if I can find one for a pretty good price.
Yeah. Let me think. There was another question I was going to ask you. Oh, yeah. I've noticed this, sort of. You don't seem, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe this is a gross generalization. You don't seem to be a big trem guy, or vibrato rather, on guitars. Do you?
No, sir, I take them all off.
You take them all off. No, none of that wobbliness for you.
No, because I don't know how to use it. I'm not a surf player. I'm not a heavy soloist. So doing a solo and then ending the note on some vibrato, it's not my thing. And the way that I play, the little Tremo bar gets in the way. Mm-hmm. So I have a Stratocaster that I just took the bar off. It's not, it doesn't lend itself to what I like to hear and what I like to play.
Right. So is that going to translate over into the Stohn guitars, you think? Will you ever put a vibrato on one, or are you going to pretty much hardtail everything?
I don't want to hardtail everything. I really like the Mastery vibrato bridge. Mm-hmm. And with the Jazzmaster, the obvious choice would be, why didn't you put it on that one? But
I was hinting at that.
Here I am.
I was hinting that way.
Yeah, thinking after it happened. So I wanted the hardtail to be another part of the SG design element that goes with it. Probably on the L5P, that could be the second guitar that comes out. that would be probably on the idea board. But to me, it's just not something that I think about. So, you do what you know, but you also have to do what people will like. And people do like the trim. People like the vibrato to it. So, yeah, that will be something that will happen. If not on the next one, then definitely on a guitar to come.
Nice. I have actually been, as far as guitars that I own, I pretty much only own hardtails except for my Oceana. And that's the mastery setup also, which is super, super nice. I never really considered myself much of I didn't need a vibrato or a whammy bar or whatever you want to call it. I just, beat my guitar into submission. I don't need one of those. But the more I play with that Oceana, the more I think I'm missing out. And I always have liked, playing Leon, my buddy Leon from Pelican. I like playing his Gretsch with a Bigsby. I love Bigsby's. I'm thinking...
Well, Bigsby's are awesome. The design element and how, the utility of them. I love a Bigsby. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm kicking myself. I'm I think I've been missing the train for a long time by only playing hardtails. I need to start... I think my next guitar probably needs to have a Bigsby on it. And it probably should be something bigger and hollow body, too. Maybe it just needs to be a Gretsch. I don't know.
A Bigsby looks really good on a Dot or a Casino. That's just the finishing piece to that guitar. It just looks so good with that guitar.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I do want a Casino. I want to get the hollow body with the P90s going. That sounds like something that would be right up my alley.
Yeah.
I think the first time I really wanted a Casino was probably the same as a lot of people, but that the watching Gary Clark Jr. makes me just really want a Casino.
I would not know an eighth of what he does, but just to have that set up, just to pretend to be able to do what he does, that would be fantastic. Sit there in my room like I did when I was 14 in front of the mirror, playing his records and not even having the guitar plugged in, but just mimicking it.
That's right.
Oh man.
Just pretending.
36-year-old man sitting here in his PJs in his bedroom, I have a wife, dang it. She's going to walk in and see me acting like a retard. Which she sees.
I was going to say, my wife sees that constantly, so it doesn't really matter.
Sure.
I walk in the door and it's oh, that guy's dumb. There he is. Look at him.
We don't grow up, we just get older.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So we are getting fairly close to the end, but we still got a few minutes. There's got to be some stuff coming up that you want to plug, or things you want to talk about, or anywhere you want to send people so they can check out what you do.
So I do have 2 plugs. So like I said at the beginning, I'm in the 2-week process of getting the new batch of Stohn guitar picks or Stohn picks finished up. We're going to be doing Turkenite, which is a synthetic turquoise, only because regular Kingsman turquoise is so expensive to buy in bulk. So this is Turkenite. I'm not advertising it as turquoise, but it'll look like it. And we're doing brecciated jasper, which looks like dried blood on a rock. Looks really cool.
Nice.
That's going to be called the Stone Killer or something like that. And we also have a yellow carnelian coming out. So probably the Stone Sunrise or something, or I'll figure a name out for it. But the new batch of picks will be dropping in about 2 weeks. But I do want to drop this. So today is the first day of the Stohn Guitars launch. If anybody is so inclined, I will offer this week only artist pricing on a Stohn guitar. If anybody wants a Stohn guitar, my Instagram page is STOHN, Stohn Guitars, as you've read in the little bio underneath this podcast. Shoot me an email. The first couple of people who jump in on a guitar, I'll give them artist pricing on it.
All right, man. That's great.
Yeah, just to get the name out there, because I am a new brand. Not a lot of people, trying to get brand recognition out there. And so, first couple of people who hit me up wanting a Stohn EAV, we'll get you going.
Sweet. I'll also put the links to your website in the show notes, so everybody can just click over there real easily and check out all the stuff. So I just I just had this one last question, and it's all just for me.
The answer is pistachios.
Oh, I never would have thought that. That's a...
Oh, no.
This took a turn. I didn't know.
Oh, dear. Now I need to hear the question. Oh, dear.
So I don't use this pick as often anymore because I can tell by the nature of it, what I like about it is that it's one of the few that you've done that is rough because you can't really polish this rock. It was the gold top one, I think is what you called it. I call it Goldie.
Goldie, yep.
But it's funny that I actually have a specific pick that is like, this is my favorite pick. And I will only use it when I am recording or really feeling like I want the finest of tone. And what I like about it, as I've told people before, and this does kind of happen with some of your other stones too, as you play them, but this one comes pre-done. It's slightly rough. And so you get a little bit of a string grab action, and it gives all these really interesting, different harmonics. And I believe I talked about that on your first episode too. My question is the Goldie ever going to return?
The Goldie could return. Definitely not with the next batch, just because we're already working on it and I didn't get any more gold sandstone. I could most certainly do a return. I have a pick now that I kind of took off. I still have a few in reserves I'll send to you. It's the Unikite or the Stone Cosmos pick. Green and red. It looks kind of Christmassy a little bit. That one has a little bit of grit to it. On the picking end, it's not perfectly smooth like my Jaspers. I think I have 2 of those left. I'll send them to you to see what you think about.
Interesting. Oh, I would...
But it's not as gritty as the Goldie, but it's definitely not as rounded and polished as most of the picks that I do.
And that might be something worth...
Yeah, I'll keep on. Yeah.
That might be something worth mentioning, is not all of the picks are exactly the same. As far as like...
Oh, yes, and I'll yeah.
Just as far as different stones produce different results. So maybe if you didn't like one, there's a good chance you might like another.
So agate and jasper both are very smoothed and very polished stones. When you get to sandstone, you get to unikite, you get, God, what's another one that I've done that's been kind of grippy? It's too late to try to, think about it now. But yeah, so each stone really does kind of give a different feeling to the strings. It gives it a tactile response. I'll look into that possibly for the next run of those picks. I'll see if I can acquire some gold sandstone, and when I do, I'll send you about 4 or 5.
Oh boy, love that. Yeah, and that's where I was going, is like because it's rough and because of the effect it produces, I can tell that eventually that pick's gonna get all misshapen and weird, just because, and because of the way I play too. Like, it's a little bit softer, and it just, like, the things I like about it are the very things that will be the destruction of it someday, and I don't want that to happen. So it's saved for special occasions. A special occasion pick. So
there you go.
I didn't know that could exist, but apparently it does. So.
Well, yeah, different picks, even for different sounds. I have probably in excess of over 200 guitar picks just in my personal collection. And, I'll go to a coin, or I'll go to, not tortoise shell, but I'll go to turtle shell. And I'll even go to like bone,
right?
Dinosaur bone even. So yeah, each pick gives you a different sound.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about a good point to wrap up on a Zinni. Except, I know we're getting close to time. We're about over time, but that's okay. There's a question that I don't remember if I asked you on the first episode or not, but it bears asking.
Boxers.
No. Everyone thinks that's what I'm going to go for. Everyone thinks that's the direction I'm headed. No. What kind of pizza do you like? We didn't ask that the first time around. What kind of pizza do you like?
So I'm a pizza purist. Pepperoni and mushroom. I don't believe that fruit has any place on pizza, so I'm not a Hawaiian guy. Yep, there's no room for fruit on pizza, but I'm a ranch dipper. So once I eat the meat and the toppings, once I get the crust, I dip the crust in ranch and then eat that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do. Well, we're going to have to shut this podcast down. I can't be associating with a ranch dipper. That's just...
Oh, no. No.
I can't abide by the ranch on my pizza.
I sat through 60 minutes to only be shut down at the end.
Yeah, we can't. I won't even know if I can post this now. This is
Ranch is the universal solvent of food. It goes with pretty much anything. I guarantee you, I defy you, other than sweets and confections, name me one thing ranch doesn't go with.
Blake.
Oh,
Yeah.
ouch.
Yeah, I'm not a ranch.
I'm unfriending you on Facebook and Instagram after we hang up. This episode will never air.
It'll just hang in limbo forever.
It'll go to the annals of the Tone Mob podcast cutting room floor.
Yep. This is gone. This is gone. All right, Andrew. Well, I think we'll better wrap this up then, since we can't seem to come to an agreement on ranch dressing.
I love everything about you, but the fact that you don't eat ranch, I hate you.
Okay, well...
No, not really. No,
now we got to go into more weird things in my personality. See, I don't really care for ranch dressing, right, in and of itself.
Yes.
But I do like ranch-flavored things, which makes no sense.
Ranch-flavored Doritos?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, we can live with that.
All right, okay. I love Cool Ranch Doritos, but for some reason the dressing, it just grosses me out. I don't know what it is.
Finding common ground through adversity.
And Doritos.
Doritos brought us together, yes.
Right on.
That should be the show opener, by the way.
Doritos brought us together?
Doritos brought us together.
I think, yeah, yes. we could do that.
Yes.
All right.
Well, Blake, man, it has been fun talking to you, brother. It's always a blast. And, dude, I love what you do, and keep showcasing, talent in the music game, man. You're one of the few that really honestly take an in-depth look beyond just what the person does. I love it to death, man.
Right on. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it, and I thoroughly enjoy doing it. So, I will continue to plug on.
And I can't wait to listen to my voice very awkwardly in the car on my ride to work this week.
It's always the weirdest thing, listening to yourself. It really, trust me.
It is.
On editing, I dread editing day so much. But I guess we better wrap up. We're right there. So for Andrew, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones.
And we're back. I'm really sorry for the delay between these episodes. That was not what I like to do, but things have just been crazy around here, especially with, as you've seen, the big giveaway happening. And if this is your first time listening to the show because of the giveaway, well, thank you. Welcome, and I hope you like all this nerdery that happens. For the legacy listeners, I'm really sorry. I know that was a big gap. I tried to not do that, but things are getting crazy. There's some more pedal projects in the works. There's just all kinds of things going on. I'm really excited to share them with you really soon. But in the meantime, if that's not enough to quench your gear nerd thirst, as you know, there's the Facebook group, there's Instagram, and there's almost 50 pack episodes. If you haven't listened to them all, now's a good time. But we should be back on our regular schedule, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you, and have a good week. One last thing before we totally sign off here, I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.